Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. So if you remember from the previous videos that I've done, I'm in the middle of doing a Slytherin-inspired Edwardian outfit. And today's video is going through the process of making the undershirt. And you would think that because I designed this to essentially be an undershirt, I would have sort of glossed over it and not put in too much work, but yeah. But that's me, apparently. So please enjoy this video where I spend a very, very long time making an undershirt. Please enjoy! Alright, this is the mock-up of the next piece of the Slytherin outfit. I did some work here before I started filming. This is actually mock-up number 4. So this whole process took a while. This was all of my like, okay, how do I get the arm sleeve and the arm side to be the right sizes together? And this was like my final little scratch pad. It's been a learning curve. I've learned a lot. I've gotten it to an okay position. Here are my pattern pieces here. And I've had to, yeah, I have even more notes for the final. I've had to really do a lot of like learning on how to get sleeves and sleeve caps to work. Oofda. This has been a journey. But I think I'm finally at the point where I can start to work on the actual garment and not just like the early work, which is pretty exciting. This is approximately 5 meters of cotton voile, and it's really, really translucent, and I'm gonna do the really intimidating part of the project that I've been procrastinating on for a long time, which is cut out some rectangular blocks that will eventually become the sleeves, and then mark a whole lot of marks down so I can do my pin tucks. Alright, I have both sleeves cut out. It is an absolute bear to work with this material, so I hope it turns out pretty because, oh goodness, it's kind of a nightmare. So I cut it way extra long, and I'm going to go through now the incredibly painstaking process of marking every 1/4 inch as much on grain as humanly possible with this iron-off pen, but then because it's an iron-off pen, I will be tracing over all of my lines with thread marking. And I expect that to take me approximately 1 ice age. Okay, so I started putting these in. I've taped the sides down actually. That's a pretty handy little cheat for trying to keep it as stable as possible while I'm drawing my lines on. I started off by doing every 1/4 inch, but I've since sort of like thought it through, and I think I can get away with marking every 1/2 inch. So that literally removes half of the work, which is pretty exciting. So I'm just gonna finish this up. I'll finish this entire sleeve, I'll mark the second sleeve, and then I will thread line them. Alright, so I've done 1 sleeve, so I just want to like show you what this entails because I feel like this needs a proper moment here. So just a quick overview. So I'm doing these sleeves. each sleeve is about 50 inches wide. Or, sorry, 50 inches long. 50 inches long. So here to here is about 50 inches, give or take. And I've marked every half inch in pen, carefully lining it up with tape so I would stay on grain. And now I've remarked over that pen with thread for every single line of this sleeve. And now I'm gonna do the other half, because this was just one sleeve and I need 2 sleeves. I chose to do this. Like, no one made me do this. And like, I'm sure you could do it without being quite so fastidious, but I really want it to look good, and like, this material is so delicate that I can't really do this marking on machine. I think it would I just don't trust it. So here we are. I hope this looks cool when it's done, because it's taking a tremendous amount of effort. But that's okay. During the process of all this stitching, all of this basting, all of this sewing, I slipped into sort of a fugue state of existential ennui. Why are we all here anyway? What's the purpose of sewing? What's the purpose of life? What's the purpose of cheese? Why is cheese so delicious? I don't know. I don't know. Alright, I have started putting in, finally, the pin tucks, and I think they're gonna look really good. I've obviously started in here, I've done 3. They're gonna look even better when I finally take the basting stitches out. But I have something to admit, which is I only needed to make half of the basting stitches I put in. Yeah. I did twice as much work as I needed to. But you don't know what you don't know. So, you know, just gonna keep on moving forward. It'll be fine. So the way making pin tucks works is you iron down flat on the fold line and then using my presser foot to measure about halfway between and then sewing down here. And then once you've sewn that down, then you repress it going the other way. So essentially, you're just making a bunch of little tiny hems and then they all come together like that. It makes sense and it will look a lot better once the red is out. The sleeves are done being pin tucked. I am really happy with the way these turned out. I think they're gonna look really boss. I'm so pleased after all that hard work. It worked. I was a little bit concerned after all of the prep work I put into it that it was gonna be a bust, but everything turned out really well. I actually have something to show you, which is all of those basting threads that I put in. I put in so many. Let me show you just how many there really were. Ready? It's a secret. This many. Can you believe that? It's a lot. All of that work undone. So this is what they look like in their completed state. The shoulder will be up here, and then the sleeve will be cut out down here. So, I do have one thing I want to show you. So I tested this really carefully. This, if you can see this tiny little thin red line here and here and here, that is left over from the iron-on pen. And what's so weird to me is you can see it on these up here in the shoulder, but they came out completely down here, and I don't know if like my pressure was different or what. Sorry, some of this is just the tabletop being... It's a working table, you know? So like you can't see, of course, down here where it doesn't matter as much, any of the red lines, but they are seemingly permanent up here. I'll iron it more and more and just to see if I can get them off, but they have stuck around. Here's my pile of fabric. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut... Obviously this ball is my outer layer. I'm actually going to use multiple inner layers and then basically treat the final product as one layer, even though it's going to be 2 layers deep. So I'm going to cut everything out and serge it all together, and that will protect my seams as well. All of this fabric is so delicate. I do not want to flat fell this. Like, I think that's going to be a nightmare. So I'm basically going to treat all of my seams with the serger, and I think that will keep everything secure and stable, and it's not historically accurate, but neither am I. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to make life easier. Look at all my hard work. Oh, so sad, so sad. I did a little bit of work off screen. I put together and serged all of my pieces, and I've marked where my actual pattern is because I gave myself just like gosh lots of seam allowance because I just don't trust anything at all. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna baste all of my construction seams in and just do a fit test before I do anything else. I would just like to say that I am reusing the basting thread from when I did the pin tucks. Because, you know, why not? It's a heckin' lot of thread here, and I can get away with shorter stitches. Basting always looks so classy. So this is the shoulder. You will notice it's shall we say unique in its construction right now. That would be because I had written myself a note to move the shoulders back, and I didn't. But because I gave myself just like acres of spare room, I'll still be able to make it work. So this is how much seam allowance I have on this side, and this is how much seam allowance I have on that side. It's let's just say if I ever actually make a pattern out of this, like an actual pattern, there will be some changes. Okay, just a quick moment before I start basting this together. It's just so pretty. It's just so fun to pet. I really like it. And I really like the color that it turned out. It's kind of hard to see right now, but so it's this layer of like this very, very obviously thin ivory voile, and then on the back is a more like bleached white, and so like it still has the ivory look to it. It's still a little bit transparent, but it's much more opaque than it was, and it lends a sort of quality to it in terms of color. I think it turned out really good, and oh, I just want to pet them. Oh, I know I should be basting, but what if I just pet them longer? It's just so much fun. I would like to say that being ridiculously fastidious paid off, because here's my sleeve. I've basted it in. And look, they match up. My little pin tucks match on the butt part of the sleeve. I'm so pleased. Oh, it's not perfect because obviously it's a cone essentially, it's shrinking, but oh, it's gonna be so good. I'm so pleased. I've done a lot of work off screen here just because this is kind of it's an annoying process to like constantly be taking something off and then putting it back on again to fit it. So I haven't filmed any of it, but what I've done, just to give you kind of an overview here, is I cut out a collar, which is just the same as the front, and I have it sort of pinned in just because I wanted to make sure I had the neck hole correct, or at least somewhat correct. And then I actually made some adjustments, which, looking back at my previous notes to myself, were like exactly what I had told myself to do that I didn't do. I ended up raising the shoulder I basically changed the angle of the shoulder, rotated it up, because when I was trying it on, the shoulder was very slouchy and I really wanted it to have a more like classy sort of like shoulder, sleeve, drop. So I adjusted the angle of the shoulder and things look a lot better. It's so funny how much of a mess it looks. It just looks like a complete pile of garbage, but honestly I swear it is becoming a shirt. I have to say, as I go to take out the exact same basting thread that I used on my pin tucks, I'm getting some serious deja vu. So this is just, I actually cut this as a single piece, which is very silly because I ended up having to recut it down the middle. But for access on the back, I am doing basically your standard like double rolled edge. And then I'm still thinking about closures, but closures are a different day. Today is just about getting seams in. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this up and then sew in my sleeve and then set my other sleeve and then we're getting there. You can see all the scarring here. I sewed it in really bad. So I just unpicked it. And luckily I had left my basting stitches in still. I'm contemplating sewing the arms in by hand. It's just a little bit fiddly. There are so many layers of fabric here each. So the sleeve has 2 layers and the body has 2 layers and they're all sort of slippery. And things just did not go great when I was doing it in the machine. So I think, I mean, the basting stitches I didn't have a problem with. So I think by hand is probably honestly the best bet. I didn't film doing this because honestly I forgot, but I just did a ivory voile over green just to kind of match the collar. So it's the same color as the shirt body, but on the cuffs here. And the cuffs were very close, but I figured they just needed a little bit more. There's no closure or anything, it's just a loop of fabric, but I think it looks quite nice and kind of marries the 2 colors together. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited! It's done! This project has taken me like just ages beyond what I thought it would take to complete and has been an absolute learning curve and extremely humbling, and I'm so proud of what I accomplished, and I know all of the things I would do differently next time. It's absolutely everything I wanted and more. And I'm really heckin' proud of it. I'm really heckin' proud of it. Yay, it's all done. I am so excited. I am so chuffed with how it all turned out. It makes me so happy. As usual though, I want to go over the costs for this project because I think it's important to have some transparency about that because sewing is not a cheap hobby. So I have my handy dandy notebook. Whee! This was actually not the cheapest of particular projects. The cheap part was that I didn't have a pattern, so I didn't have to pay for that. The expensive part was that I wanted nice materials. So there's the outer voile, the inner voile, and then 2 different colors of that. So I have 3 yards of ivory voile, and that totaled $25.50. Then I have a half a yard of the green batiste, and that was $4. It was pretty cheap. I would have bought more, but they only had half a yard. 1 yard of white wall that's underneath the arms, and that was $10. And then shipping, which I've sort of done some math on to make it just for this project, but it was $11 for shipping. And so the total for all of that is $50.50. So it was not the most cheap project to make. I think, like usual, you could make a version of this that is much more affordable, but I didn't. And I really like the outcome, so I have no complaints whatsoever. So this is a $50 shirt. Yeah! But one of my main purposes on doing this project was to do a blend of masculine and feminine when it comes to sort of how things look on a shirt, and I'm really stoked with how it came out. I really wanted to do pin tucks because they're a thing you see a lot of times on more feminine clothing, and I really wanted to do a more masculine basic shirt cut, you know, not really emphasizing waist, not emphasizing chest, in fact de-emphasizing both of those things. And I am just stoked with the way it turned out, and it makes me really excited to play more and more in that sort of mixing of things. I think that's just really exciting for me, and I hope it is for you too. I think that sort of nexus where it all meets is just chillingly fun. So yeah, I have pin tucks, I have, you know, a basic more feminine collar, and then a cut that's more masculine, and oh, it just makes me so happy. Because if we can't play and we can't find the middle of things where we fit best, then like, what's the point? Like, why are we sewing all of these things if not for ourselves? So, thank you for being here with me on this journey. So that's a wrap on this project. Like I said, I'm beyond chuffed with how it all turned out. There are definitely some things I would do differently if I were to redo it, a lot of lessons learned, but like, I'm so proud of myself for getting to where I got. I really like the final outcome, and I love that I have scales. Like, that was the one thing I really wanted for this, is to have all these little pin tucks and just to be able to feel like I'm a snake and have all these little snakeskin scales. And I succeeded, so I am a happy camper. What this means though is that I'm actually halfway done with the Slytherin outfit project. I have the trousers, which I'm wearing, can't see them, and I have the undershirt. What that means is that the next project is going to be kind of, I think, the centerpiece project of this, which is the silk overshirt with insertion lace. And I have all of the materials already purchased, and I have them, and everything looks great. So I'm going to start on that pretty soon, and hopefully I'll be able to share it with you relatively shortly. I also want to do a big shout out to all of the people who have been supporting me on Patreon. It has been absolutely humbling to have so many wonderful people sharing all of their cool makes, all of their amazing skills over on the Patreon Discord, which is where everyone hangs out. And it's great. And once a month we have a live chat where we all, whoever's available, where everybody signs on and does a video chat kind of sewing circle thing, which is one of my favorite things, because I get to see y'all's lovely faces. If you're interested in supporting this channel and helping me buy more ridiculous fabrics to make more ridiculous things, then please head over to patreon.com/bequeermakestuff. It is through you guys that I was able to buy this new fancy light. Look how much better my face looks on camera. It's thanks to you. You made my face look better. As always, until next time, be queer and make stuff. Stay safe out there, y'all. Bye. Liz, I didn't comb my hair before this. I have no idea what it looks like.